think we can start now, right, Alba?
Yes.
You give me the green light. Okay, so
yes.
Let's go. So good morning, everyone, and welcome to this first webinar, informative webinar that we, the UHAS for Data project, organized in the scope of our third open call for experiment, our third and last open call for experiments. The purpose of the session of today is to inform about the process, okay, the process of the open call, also to let you know how, what we expect from the experiments that we are selecting, and also to solve your doubts and also answer your questions, okay. So my name is Daniel Alonso, and I am the responsible of promotioning and positioning of ITI, a Research and Technology Center in the Valencia region in Spain. And in this context, I am also the coordinator of the project, UHAS for Data. And together with Jorge Lorente from Zavala Consulting, who is also leading the open calls in this project, we are running this session. We also come with the support in the background of Alba from ITC company. She's leading the communication and dissemination part in the project. And again, she will be supporting us on the background and also with the chat and the questions. And this is the agenda for today. I will talk you a little bit about the project. It's true that it's not completely required that you know what we are doing in the project, but we think that it is nice that you know what we are doing, how the experiments fit in the global context of the project, and also what we expect from the experiment, again in the context of the project. Then I will tell you a little bit more about what we are expecting from the experiment, what we are looking for, and what we are offering in this program. And then I will hand over to Jorge, who will go more deeper in the process of the open call, and will explain with some detail the documents that we are asking for, and again all the steps of the call and the evaluation and the process. And also a very important aspect, the last slot of the session will be devoted to question and answers. So there you will have the opportunity again to ask or to bring to us any doubt or any question that you might have of the whole process. Okay. Also important for you to know that this is the first webinar that we are running. We are running a second one on the 25th of October at the same time at 11. And the registration is also open. So if by chance any question remains unanswered or any doubt or in the process from now to this that date, for sure you will be working more in the application, so probably more questions and doubts might arise. So you will have this opportunity, the 25th of October, again, to connect to this webinar and also bring to us questions and other comments and doubts, okay? Before starting, the usual stuff about how we are running the session. So in principle, during our presentations, all of you will be muted, okay? But as Alba mentioned already in the chat, you can use the chat right now and until the end of the session to ask your question or post comment or wherever you want. Okay, comment wherever you want. Okay, we will address all your questions and comments during the Q&A slots at the end of after our presentations, and of course we will try to answer as many questions as possible. If time allows, and otherwise we will answer you by email. We will contact you by email if some questions again remain unanswered or unsolved. Okay, you can do it either by chat, or you can talk. You can speak out loud if you want. It's up to you. We don't care about that. So again, you can either use the chat or just we can unmute you and ask out loud. Okay. In the web page, we will upload the slides, okay, of this. Those slides will be uploaded to the web page of the project after this webinar, and the recordings of the webinar will be available after the second webinar, okay? So you will be all the material at some point in time in our web page. So, we said, I will start with the project, okay? Again, it's not that you have to know everything about our project, but I think that some ideas would be nice, are in place now for you to have a clear idea of what we are doing and how the experiments fit in all the context of the project, okay? So these are the main facts and figures about the project. We started in September 2020, and we are running the project until end of the next year. So it means that the experiment selected in this open call basically will end very close to the end of the project. So the timeline is for us is quite similar. Okay, the experiments will be with us mostly until the end of the project. Again, December 2023. Two important facts about this slide is that one, as you can see here, there are 21 partners from 12 different countries, but you will see that if I'm not wrong, 23 hubs are participating in this open call, providing services to the applicants. So it means that not all the hubs are partners of the project. We have incorporated new hubs on the fly through an open call for hubs that do launch last year. And we are really proud also that this group of hubs is growing. The other part is that you can see here, the budget is 12 million euros. But the important part of here is that by contract with the Commission, more than half of this budget has to be devoted to support directly SMEs and startups. So this is why you guys, SMEs and startups and end user, are of great importance for our project, because most of the half of this budget has to be devoted to support you directly, SMEs and startups in the process. Okay. This is the whole picture of the project. So the main, the overarching objective of the project is to build the so-called European Federation of Data-Driven Hubs. And as simple as that, but at the same time as complicated, because again, it's not only that we bring hubs together, but we have to define a model, a governance model that ensures that this group of hubs is working together, also that this group of hubs is organizing and collaborating together, and also to define a path that ensures the sustainability of the federation once the project is done. So basically, again, the main objective is to build this federation of hubs, in data-driven hubs in Europe. As you can see here, the group now is composed of 30 hubs covering 30 regions in 22 countries. Again, some of those hubs are partners, some others are third parties incorporated through an open call. But for the matter of those experiments, it doesn't matter. Okay, all the hubs will be providing services to the beneficiaries, and all the hubs will be supporting, no matter they are partners or third parties. And again, we are really proud of this group of hubs that we are collaborating together towards those objectives that you can see also in the left part of the slide. So we are contributing to the creation of European common data spaces. We are supporting SMEs and startups and end users to create innovative products and services. We are also adding value to the whole data-driven ecosystem, and we are again contributing for the European data economy to flourish and to achieve the objectives. Okay. Very important for us is this double dimension that you can see here. On the one hand, we are combining the European dimension of this collaboration. So all the hubs are collaborating at European level. So we are bringing together our services, our data sets, our assets, okay, to build this so-called federated catalog of data-driven assets. But the ultimate objective of this collaboration is that SMEs or startups at regional level benefit from this collaboration. So at the end of the day, what we want is that to improve our offer. So all of you, all the SMEs in our local ecosystem can benefit from this European collaboration. And on the other hand, we have this double dimension. We are combining the offer side, which is represented by the hubs. By the hubs here are providing services, data sets, courses, and other assets. And to match make with the demand side, we have taken into account the needs and the requirements of the demand represented by the end users, in this case, but SMEs and startups. So again, the project is combining this, let's say, double dimension on the one hand, European versus regional dimension, on the other, matchmaking between the offer and the demand. Okay. These are the 5 pillars that somehow represent very well the project. So first, the starting point, and again, the starting point was 12 hubs that were we bring together 12 hubs at the beginning of the project in 2020. But the group of hubs has evolved during the project. Now we are 30, as I mentioned before. So we are incorporating new hubs, and it means that we are evolving during the project, but also after the project. The third point is the community, and also very important for us is to link with other strong European data-driven communities, such as GaiaX, such as the data spaces, other projects, also the new network of European digital innovation hubs, and many others. So again, it's important to link with other communities to contribute to the creation of these so-called European data spaces. The fourth point is the offer, and I will go later on with more detail. The offer is from our side is represented by the federated catalog, and for you it's crucial because you have, as probably you already know, but we will explain later on, you have to use this catalog to somehow define your experiments in your the application. Okay, the fifth pillar is the demand, and the demand again is represented by the SMEs and startups in the project, and we are attracting the demand to this project in the project phase through 3 open calls. So we already launched 2 open calls in the previous months, and now we are involved in the last one, the 3rd open call. And again, the main purpose of this open call is to attract end users to use the federated asset of the project, and also to benefit from this collaboration at European level. And for us, very important, the future. Okay, everything what we are doing in the project is just to ensure that this federation we are creating is also is running once the project is done. So we are defining all the models, exploitation models, collaboration models, sustainability, governance, and so on, to ensure again that the federation is still running and not only running but evolving and growing after the project is done. So these are the 6 pillars of the project, and as you can imagine, it's quite complex and quite ambitious. And you will see later on how the SMEs and the experiment play a key role on this picture. Okay. So let me go very quickly through some of our assets. So the first one is the catalog, and again, it is important for you because on the one hand, it's important for you because you have to use this catalog to define your application, your experiments, but also it's important for us because it represents on the one hand the collaboration at European level, but also it represents somehow the meeting point for all the hubs we are working together. And also it represents, as you can see here, also on the one hand, the double dimension. So we are collaborating at European level, and you can see here all the blocks that the hubs are putting together. But again, what is important for us is that at regional level, our ecosystem benefits from this collaboration. So it means that at regional level, each of the hubs will be selecting, the services that better complement their offer. But for you, what is important is the front end of the catalog. So in the left side of this slide, you can see just all the services that are listed in the catalog, and it represents the collaboration that all the hubs are playing at European level. Okay, I will go later on with more details to the catalog, but just for you to be aware that it's not only this list of services and assets we are doing, but also on the back end, we are building many blocks to ensure also that this collaboration on the hubs is feasible. Also important for you because also the ethics is gaining more and more important in our project. And also, as you probably know, you have to complete an ethics self-assessment for your experiment, for your application. And it is, again, it is because the ethics are gaining, again, a lot of importance in our project. And even though at the beginning it was just a task, somehow it permeates all or most of the activities in the project. So not only the collaboration among the hubs in the federation, but also all the services and data sets that we are publishing, the open call as such, the contracts that we will be signing with the beneficiaries, but also the experiment. So we have to be sure that your experiment is compliant with the rules of the Commission, also that during the execution of the experiments, everything is done in accordance with the legislation that the Commission is publishing. And to this end, you can count with our support. We have set up a complete ethical framework in the project, and with many actors collaborating. And again, you can count with our support, of course, if your experiment is selected. Okay. And I will go now to the open call as such. And again, as I mentioned before, for us, open calls and experiments represent a key activity in the project, not only because it's the way that you used to raise awareness of our activities, it's also the way that we are using to attract end users to the asset of the federation, but we are also support SMEs and startups in the creation of those solutions and services. As you remember from the previous slide, is one of the objectives of the project, to support, again, end users in the creation of new services, data-driven services and solutions. But also very important for us, through the open call, through the experiments, we are fostering the collaboration among the hubs, because the experiment have to include at least 3 services coming from 2 different hubs. So this is also a way to force hubs to collaborate also in this way. Also to check the user, so to check how we are doing with the common service delivery also, and so also to check the satisfaction of the users. And also very important for us to keep the demand coming to the federation after the funding phase. So also our objective for us is that you see value in what we are doing beyond the funding, beyond the experiments, but also once the experiment is finished, you stay with us because you have found value also in this collaboration. And at the end of the day, to contribute to the creation of the European Common Data Spaces, that it is also a hot topic, not only for the Commission, but also for the different member states of the European Union, and also for many stakeholders. Also, you can see here several KPIs that we have in the open calls. So we are running 3 open calls, 2 already closed. So now we are fully engaged in the last open call. In total, we are distributing 2.5 million euros as cascade funding. Okay, in this open call, we are distributing, if I'm not wrong, and I will see later on, more than 1 million euros to the 18 experiments. In total, we have at the end of the project, we will have been selected. We will have selected 42 experiments. Okay, 10 in the first open call, 14 in the second one, and 18 in this open call. And also very important, all the hubs have allocated 3.3 million euros to support the beneficiaries in the execution of the experiment. So you can count again on the one hand cascade funding, on the other support from the hubs, value in this amount of budget. Okay. You have also in our webpage several information about the 2 previous open calls and the results. So you can check just for you to know what we are selecting as beneficiaries. So if you go again to this URL, euhasfordata.eu/experiment, you will see there all the experiments that we selected, and some of them are still running. So again, in the first open call, we selected 89. We selected 10, okay, out of 89 that were eligible after the first check. Those experiments started in May 2021 and already finished in January this year. And again, as I mentioned before, beyond the experiments and the funding, we found out that several activities are also quite valuable for you, for the experiment. So for instance, joint dissemination, participation in events, technical meetings, and also additional opportunities. So again, you can see here the 10 experiments that are already finished, and also you can check 14 experiments that are now running, also selected in the second open call. So in the second open call, we selected 14 experiments out of 74 applications, eligible applications. Those started in May this year, and now we are fully involved in the midterm evaluation. So now we are evaluating the midterm results of the second round of experiments, and hopefully they will finish in January 2023. And after that, the last round of experiments will begin. Okay. So again, you have here very good examples of what we have selected, experiment still running, and also okay, good examples of success stories, and also again the experiment. So this is about the project. Okay, so just a very short introduction again for you to have the whole picture, and you can also see how the experiments fit in all the concepts. So on the one hand, we have the federation, we have the hubs collaborating at European level to build this so-called federated catalog with all the hubs, bring together all the services for you guys, for the end users, to use those services to propose experiments, and to use those services to bring your products closer to the market. Okay. So these are the different pillars, and now I will go with more detail with the experiment. Okay, what we are looking for, and what we are offering in this for those experiments that are selected. So what we are looking for can be summarized in 4 points. Okay, and I will go in the next slides point by point, but for you to know, just as an introduction, first, and very important for us, as I mentioned before, you have to make use of the assets of the federation. Okay, so very important for us, we are using the experiments to check the joint service delivery of the hubs, but also to check how we are doing, to check the service, and also to foster the collaboration among the hubs. So for experiments to be eligible, you have to use assets of the federation. So this is one thing. Okay, the second point is that the experiment have to result in innovative data-driven products or services in the form of key exploitable results. So it means that we are not looking for research results. We are not looking for TRLs low. Okay, we are looking for products very close to the market. So in a quite of course pre-competitive way, but close to the market. Again, that might impact also in your portfolio. That might you can include in your catalog, if not very quickly, at least in the midterm. So again, and this is why we call it key exploitable results, that those results from the experiments in the short or midterm can be exploited. So this is very important for us. Again, we are not funding research experiments, we are funding experiments that bring your already implementing services or products closer to the market. The third point is that you have the experiments have to contribute to the KPIs of the project. And because again, we have a bunch of KPIs and most of them are quite ambitious, and we are also using the experiments to help us to achieve some of those KPIs. Don't worry, I will explain later on what KPIs you can contribute to, and you will see that are very much aligned with the scope of the experiments. And finally, the experiments has to help us to contribute to the creation of European common data spaces. And again, you are not supposed to know by hand the European data strategy issued by the Commission, and you are not expected to know what a data space is, but I will explain later on to you that you can indirectly contribute to those common data spaces. Okay, so let's go one by one. First, again, first point, you have to use assets from the FEDERIC catalog. And again, this is very important, and please, if it is not clear, feel free to ask later on or to comment on the chat, because it's crucial for you, on the one hand, to be eligible, and on the other, to be well scored in the evaluation process. So first, your experiment has to involve, your application has to involve a minimum of 2 and a maximum of 5 data-driven services from the catalog, okay? And those services have to be provided by a minimum of 2 and a maximum of 3 hubs. And at least one of the hubs has to be from a country different from your country. What does it mean? It means that, again, you have to force at least, you have to include at least 2 hubs in your experiment, but no more than 3. And you have to include for those hubs between 2 and 5 services, okay? And again, to ensure that the experiment is cross-border, one of the hubs in the experiment has to come from a country different to your country. So if you are based, for instance, in Austria, okay, you can select one DIS from Austria, but at least one of them has to be from another country. Okay, so this is very important for, again, to use those services. I will show you now how the catalog looks like really. So you can go now to our web page and start looking for the services that best fit the purpose of your experiment. So here is you can see my screen, right? Alba, can you see by the catalog now, the web page?
Yes, we can see.
Okay, perfect.
The website.
This is the URL, euhasfordata.eu. Okay, so there you can see here we have the catalog, and the catalog is composed of three labels: services, datasets, and courses. If you go to the first one, and now we are talking about that, the services. Okay, you will see here the catalog. Okay, so here we have, as I mentioned before, a whole list of services. Here you can see also 2 labels. On the one hand, you can see here all services, and also you can see here open call services. You have to select this one, open call services, okay? Because in the other catalog, in the call with all the services, some of them are not eligible for this call. So please be sure that you select open call services and do not include any service that is not eligible for the call, because otherwise your application will not be selected. It means that we are offering all the hubs to publish services, even though they are not using the call. So not all the services here in the all services are eligible for the call. Again, be sure that you go to these open call services and you select services from this list. Okay. So here you have all the services. Okay, and the main issue here is that you have to select services that you really need them. Okay, you really need those services. So I mean, I suggest that you first go to this left side of the screen, and you can see here a preliminary search. So you can see here on the one hand, you have, for instance, search by any word that you might, for instance, if you are looking for services about ethics, okay, you can directly write the word. You will have the results of all those services that include the word ethics. So this is just a first search that you can do. Okay, just to be sure that the search matched your needs or your requirements. But you can also filter by the type of services. Okay, in the first way you have a first layer, so you can select between business development, ecosystem building, data, AI and technology, infrastructure access, and technology consultancy and training. So first you can select what you are looking for. For instance, if you are looking for infrastructure, you can select infrastructure. And Okay, and we can remove ethics because otherwise we didn't have anything. So you go to infrastructure and you will see here all the services that matches this infrastructure first selection. Okay, and maybe you can refine your search, and you can in infrastructure to data platform, so platform as a service, computing and storage infrastructure as a service, and data management. Okay, so you can improve your selection and go and select, for instance, data management, and you will see here those services that match your previous filtering. So once you have done that, you can click on the service, and you will have more information about the service. So you will have the title, you will also have the hub which is providing the service. You will have also the description of the service, examples, probably the links to the service, and so on. Okay. So this is what you have to do. Okay. First, to be sure what your needs are. And once you know what your needs are, go to the catalog and find those services that better fits your needs. Okay. And again, this is the way to do that. You can search by a keyword. You can filter by type of service, or you directly go to the list and check the different services. In total, we have 172 entries. And again, this is the way to do that. Okay. Important, if you go to for instance, you go to the service and click in the hub, you will be redirected to the web where all the information about the hub is. And here you have the contact. Okay, here you don't have the contact. But the other hubs, you can see the contact. And anyway, as Jorge will mention later on, all the contacts are in the guidelines for applicants. And again, if you go to the hub, you can see here, for instance, this hub is in Ireland, and you will find here all the services that this hub is offering. Okay. So again, you have here all the information. Again, be careful that your services are in this lead, open call services, and you can go to the list and do the search. Okay. So this is regarding the first point. Okay, involve a minimum of 2 and a maximum of 5 services coming from 2 and a maximum of 3 hubs, and be sure that at least one hub is coming from a country different to yours. Okay. Very important, the second point, be sure that the combination of the services makes sense and fits the purpose of your experiment. So do not include services for the sake of including services. Please be sure that those services are useful for your experiments. Okay. Also fits the purpose of your experiment. So they are really useful for what your task and activities in the experiments. And again, the combinations make sense. Okay. We are not asking that the services can be fully combined with each other, but at least the combination makes sense. And again, it's somehow aligned with what you are proposing in your experiment. Okay. In the case of doubt, you can contact the hub. Okay. Because all the contacts of the hubs are included in the guidelines for applicants. So if you go to the guidelines, you will see in one of the last pages all the contacts of the hub. So you can contact the hub. If you have any doubt or question regarding the services, you can use the questionnaire. Okay, that you can find here in the service description. You can use this questionnaire to contact the hub or to contact us. You can use this email, okay, opencall@uhasfordata.eu. Okay, you have several, so you can see that you have several ways to contact either the hubs or directly ourselves. Okay, this is about the services. Again, be sure that you include the nice services and nice combination, and you also do not exceed the limits of services and hubs. On the other data sets, okay, since the experiments are data driven, okay, we have to be sure that, again, this is the case, that the experiments are data-driven. So at least your experiments start from one data set. So at least you include data sets in your experiment. And this is this point, okay, you have to use at least one data set from the very beginning, either from the catalog of data sets, from our catalog of data sets, or bringing your own data sets or proposing a data set from an external repository. It doesn't matter. Okay, again, you can select a data set from our catalog, you can bring your own data sets, or you can propose an additional repository. Again, it doesn't matter as long as you start your experiment from at least one. it can be more than one, but at least one data set. Okay. Again, if you want to use our catalog, and you under this label, the catalog, you can access the data sets available in our catalog. And basically, the way of that is quite similar to the services. Here you have the whole list of data sets, and in this way, in this case, we are including under the entries. Okay. And here you have a dedicated a screen for each data set. And you can also search by keyword or filter by different features, domain, coverage, format. Okay, there are several of them. So again, feel free to go to our for instance, if you can, I don't know, maybe. Okay, if you are doing something in the health domain, okay, you can see here, you can use the keyword health, and you will end up with several data sets that are related to the health sector. Okay, so you can do like that. You can do this filtering. You can this searching. You can also go to the filter. You can go to the whole list, or again, you can bring your own data sets or propose another repository. Okay, but again, be sure that you are starting not from scratch. You're starting at least from one data set. Also very important for us when you are including services and data sets in the application, be sure to include the link, okay, for us to, so we are not it will be easier for us to see what services or what data set you are including. So please be sure that you are including, if you go for instance to this data set, not only put the title, just be sure that you are putting the whole link in the application. For us, it's easier to know what you are talking about. Okay, so the first point, using the assets of the catalog. The second point is the outcomes of the experiment. So as I mentioned before, we are looking for high TRLs. Okay, we are not looking for research results. In principle, it would be nice if the result of your experiment is about TRL 7 to 9. Okay, because it ensures that the solution is close to the market. Okay, lower TRLs can be accepted, okay, depending on the scope of the experiments and the type of result, but be sure that at least you are somehow putting the results in a way of a key exploitable result, because again, for us the main purpose is that your company will benefit from the results some point in time in the future, okay, in the short term, in the midterm. So those results resulting from the experiments can be exploited at some point in time. So for us this is key, because we are not we are an experimentation environment. So all the hubs we are providing this experimentation environment in a pre-competitive way, but very close to the market. So for us, this is also key, that the outcomes of the experiment are framed in this way. Okay. The third point is the contribution to the KPIs of the project. As I was saying before, we are using also the experiments for us to be able to reach our KPIs. And this is why we are asking you that your experiment at least contribute at least to 4 out of these 6 KPIs. Okay, and it is also very important for us, because the experiments are part of our project as I explained before, and again we are using for this purpose. So those are the 6 KPIs that we propose you that you can contribute to. Okay, so for instance, annual increase of data sets shared, reused, and traded. So you have you can use data sets from the catalog just to ensure that we are reusing, sharing, and trading with those data sets. So again, this is the impact that you can provide. Make use of the data set of the catalog. Number of data sets resulting from cross-border experiments. So it's also important. It's not mandatory, but it's also important if your experiment is resulting in new data sets, okay, that can be integrated in the catalog. Okay, it doesn't mean that you have to include all the information in the catalog, but if you can commit to include in the catalog data sets resulting from your experiment, you will be contributing to this KPI number 2. Okay, revenues of the SMEs. Okay, so if the cares obtained during the experiment can be translated in some kind of revenues for the SME in the open call. And here you can also take advantage of this KPI, because okay, it's not so easy to this, and it's not so easy, and it's not so straightforward, okay, for us. And also after 9 months of the experiment, okay, but you can also claim that you are improving your revenues using the result of the experiment. So this is KPI number 5. new solutions and data-driven business concept align with targeted user needs and satisfaction drivers. And as you as companies know better than us, okay, if the cares obtaining during the experiments are also aligned with your user, so you know better than us, and you can also claim that some of the results can also align with your customer needs. The 9 point, I think all the experiments can contribute to this KPI because produce a fair amount of significant data-driven innovations resulting from the project. So as long as your experiment results in innovation, you can also contribute to this KPI. And finally, new job profiles created in companies in the UHAS4Data. So new profiles and also new jobs. If you can contribute to this KPI, you can also include that. So again, you have to contribute to at least 4 out of these 6 KPIs, and you will be contributing again to this part of the project. And finally, the European Common Data Spaces. Again, we are not expecting that you know what the European Data Space is, but somehow since the experiments are data-driven and the experiment is about mobilizing data, also generating new data, sharing data, also using, promoting, fostering the collaboration among hubs. You indirectly, all the experiments will be contributing to the challenge of the Common European Data Spaces, and how we are asking for that. Okay, so you have to decide what sector you are contributing, and again, you don't have to just to select one of those 9 in the slide. You can propose any sector that you are working on. So just select the sector or sectors what your experiment is focused, provide the context, okay, explain the context and the current scenario and how you are contributing also to address some of the challenges and some of the needs of this sector using the experiment and also mobilizing and using data. So as long as your experiment using data can contribute somehow to address or to solve some of the barriers of this specific sector, your experiment will be contributing to the establishing of those European Common Data Spaces, okay? So as simple as that, provide the context, current scenario, potential challenges and barriers, and how your experiment is addressing those barriers and challenges based on data, generation of data, sharing of data, and so on. What we offer, and this is just my last section, we are offering these 6 points, and this is also, I think, the most important part for you. So on the one hand, and I will start for the funding, we are offering 60 euros funding per experiment. Okay, it's a flat rate and cascade funding, a flat rate for each selected experiment. We are offering access to the catalog of services. So as I mentioned before, you will have access to this whole catalog, and once your experiment is selected, those services will be provided to you by the hubs, but also technical and business coaching and follow up by the hubs. So all the hubs will be supporting you in the experiment. So it's not only funding, it's not only the services as such, but also support from the hubs. We are also providing digital and business skills. We are providing visibility and promotion, and we are also providing an exploitation plan. And also this is why it's so important for us that your results are framed in a kind of care, key exploitable results, because we will be also providing you exploitation plan specifically devoted to those results. So these are the six points that we are offering. As I mentioned before, with some more detail, again, 60 euros flat rate against the accomplishment of your objectives. Those DIHs whose services are selected will participate in the experiment, so you will not be alone. You will be those DIHs whose services have been selected. The hubs will provide support, will monitor the experiment, and will check the accomplishment of the task, KPIs, and milestones. Okay, one of the hubs will act as a coach of the experiment and will be the link to the coordinator and to the consortium. And also important, the beneficiary, you can appoint a hub which is not part of the federation for local support. Okay, for instance, if you think that in your experiment you need the support of one of your hubs in your region, and this hub is not part of the project, you can propose this hub to be part of the experiment, but you will not be given more funding for that. You will have to use the funding that you will receive also for this hub. So, and of course, this hub can be in the future part of our project, somehow part of the federation. But in this case, the funding you will have to use the funding that you are receiving to involve this hub. Okay. Again, the exploitation plan, as I mentioned before, you will have support and definition of a plan, and you will receive visibility at European and regional level for the different actors in the project. And so this is about the project, the experiments, what we are looking for and what we are offering. And now, Jorge, you will go through the application process and the documents. So I will hand over to you. I will start sharing.
Perfect, thanks.
It's your...
Okay, so please let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, we can see.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so well, in the second part of the webinar, I'm going to talk about how to apply and the processes and the main documents that are involved in the submission of a proposal. So, well, let's start with the process for the application. The first step is to download all kinds of documents you need to apply, which mainly involve the guidelines for applicants, the templates for the application form and the subgrant agreement, and the document for the ethics self-assessment. The guidelines for applicants is a document that defines the general aspects of the 3 open calls of our project, but also the particularities for each specific open call, because the guideline has been changing in the different open calls that we have opened. And regarding the templates, it is important that you download both templates, the application form and also the subgrant agreement, to start being familiarizing with the application form, although you have to fill it online in the online submission platform, and we're going to see it later on in the following slides, and also to be familiarized with the subgrant agreement that you will sign in case your experiment is selected for funding. And finally, the ethics self-assessment document is a document that you have to fill and upload to the application form, but we will see it in more detail in the slides later on. Well, the second step of this process is to carefully read these documents, especially the guidelines. And in case of that, please visit the frequent asked questions section in our project website, or even write us an email. The third step will be to prepare the application, and you can decide whether to prepare the application directly on the online form or to prepare it using the template we provide you in the website. And once it is ready, just copy and paste to the online form. It's up to you. This will be the step 4. And finally, the step 5 is to click on submit, obviously before the deadline. Okay. Regarding the online submission, we have a dedicated platform for our open calls that is hosted by a partner from our consortium, which is Digital SME Alliance. In this slide, you can see the link to the platform. Also some screenshots from the platform. When you enter to the platform, you should click on the Apply Now button to start the submission, and then a prompt appears to you to let you know that you have to create an account on the online submission platform. Once you create the account, you can enter the form, and you will see that it contains 5 tabs or pages, 1 for the administrative data, 3 tabs for the excellence, impact, and implementation section of the form, and the last one for the ethics self-assessment. One of the main features of our platform is that we have a button called Save, that is at the bottom of each tab or page of the form, and this functionality will let you complete the application form online in different days. So you can complete some questions, save the form, close the application, and return to the form wherever you want to continue completing it. And finally, the submit button is only available in the last tab, the tab of ethics. Before clicking on submit or before submitting the application, all questions marked with an asterisk should be completed to be able to submit the proposal. If not, a prompt will tell you that there are some questions that are not still completed. Well, in this slide, you can see the list of submission documents that should be included in the application form. The main one is the application form, but you will see that some questions of this application form involve the submission of 3 other specific documents that should be uploaded in these questions in the application form. One of these documents is the Declaration of Honor, another is the Ethics Self-Assessment, and the last one is the commitment to set a registered SME, which is only mandatory for applicants that are a group of web entrepreneurs. Obviously, already the registered SME don't have to upload this commitment. Going through the application form, first thing to see is that it should be filled online at the submission platform. As I said before, although we have provided you a template that you can use to prepare the application offline. The form has 38 questions organized in 5 main sections, which are the same sections that you see before in in the platform. The administrative and ethics questions are not considered in the evaluation, but are required to be eligible. In fact, there are 2 questions in the administrative section and 1 in the ethics section that imply to upload the documents I previously mentioned. We will go in more detail about these documents in the following slides. And the other questions that are organized in the other 3 sections, excellence, impact, and implementation, are the ones that are going to be evaluated. And each section has the same weight on the evaluator. Also, be aware that most of the questions have a description text explaining what we expect from this question. So please read carefully the explanation before answering each of these questions. So one of the documents that applicants must fill and upload in the application form is the Declaration of Honor. This declaration can be downloaded at the project webpage, and you can see here the link. And it is a declaration where applicants sign that they agree with all terms and conditions of the open call and other general clauses. Before uploading the document, it should be signed by a legal representative of the SME that is applying to the call. Another document to be uploaded to the application form is the commitment to set a registered SME. But as I said before, this document is only mandatory for applicants that are a group of web entrepreneurs. And it is a document to specify that in case your proposal is selected for funding, you are committed to register an SME in an eligible country. There is a template for this commitment annexed as Annex 3 of the Sugran Agreement template that you can download for the project website. Please use it to prepare this commitment if you are in the case of a group of web entrepreneurs. Obviously, if you're an SME that is already registered, you are not required to upload this document. And finally, all applicants must upload the documents called Ethics Self-Assessment. And this is a document available in our project website at the link you can see in this slide. Let me remark that ethics is really important for our project. In fact, the EU Has4Data project has an ethics monitoring group and an ethics external advisor that will revise this information for the experiments proposed for funding. Therefore, as an applicant, you should see this self-assessment as an opportunity to collaborate with both the ethics monitoring group and the external advisor and try to benefit from their knowledge and expertise to improve potential ethical issues that may arise in the future commercialization of the results of your experiment. So in the next slide, we're going to see how the ethics self-assessment looks like and what you have to complete, but be aware that if you have any doubt on how to complete this document, you can see our section of ethics facts, of ethics frequent asked questions, or even write an email to our ethics monitoring group. Use this email just to write doubts regarding ethics. If you have doubts regarding the participation in the open calls, there is another email that we will see at the end of this presentation. Well, as you can see in this slide, the ethics document is an Excel file with 4 tabs. You can see at the bottom of the page. The first tab is a yes/no questionnaire to declare the ethics compliance of the experiment. And then tabs 3 and 4 are devoted to let you provide more information for each yes of this questionnaire. So if you respond a yes in any of this questionnaire, you will have to provide more information in the tabs 3 and 4. And the second tab contains 12 questions regarding the use of datasets in the experiment. Questions are of 2 types, yes/no questions and questions for indicating a number between 1 and 10. And all questions should be filled for each dataset that you are using in your experiment. So if you use 3 datasets, you have to fill these 12 questions for each of the datasets. Regarding the application, there are 2 specific sections of the proposal preparation that are quite relevant for the experiment. And one is the appropriate dimensioning of the demand of services from the EU Has4Data catalog, and the other is the definition of milestones for monitoring the progress of the experiment. Regarding the first one, since one of the main assets of the EU Has4Data project is the federated catalog of services that we offer to the applicants for their benefit in their experiment, one thing that we consider relevant for the open call is that applicants make a good dimensioning when demanding these services from our catalog. In this sense, we have limited the demand of services up to 5 services. However, it is important that you know that it is not a matter of quantity, but quality. And what I mean is that an experiment involving 5 services, which is the higher limit that you can select services from the catalog, will not be necessarily better evaluated than an experiment that selects only 2 services, which is the lower limit. So since the services services are really wide and diverse. As you see before, there are 172 services. It will depend on different factors. And here is where we have defined what we consider a good dimensioning, which consider a trade-off between these three different factors. The first one is to choose a combination of services that complement each other to benefit from a more advanced services. The second one is to choose services that have a relevant contribution to your experiment goals and results. And finally, to choose a combination of services that is feasible to be offered with the maximum resources that DIHs can devote to each experiment. In this sense, the guidelines for applicants will let you know that each experiment can benefit from a technical support valued in a maximum of 70,000 euros, comprising all services that you select in your experiment. So to avoid experiments with over-dimensioned selection of services, it has been limited to 5 services. However, since each service requires a different amount of support to be offered by the DIH, applicants are still required to try to balance this support to fit with these 70,000 euros. And this means that if you plan to involve 4 services, the technical support of all DIHs to offer these 4 services may not exceed these 70,000 euros. And finally, let me say that the cost of each service, unfortunately, is not prefixed by the DIH, because the same service could require different dedication depending on the experiment's needs. So this is a bit tricky, and therefore in the guidelines for applicants, we're encouraging all the applicants, to contact DIHs in advance to help you in the dimensioning of the resources you're asking for in the application form. So if you contact the DIHs, it will be easy to you to select a better dimensioned selection of services. So to achieve a good dimensioning, first it's important to carefully revise the whole catalog of services to select a set of services that complement each other and that fit your needs in the experiment. And then it is important, as I said, to contact the DIHs in advance for the dimensioning in terms of technical support required. And the contact to the DIHs can be done through the individual form that you will see at the end of each service webpage, as Daniel showed before, or using the available contact list in the guidelines for applicants. You can see in the slide the available contact lists. And using this contact list, you can contact to all of the 2 or 3 DIHs you plan to involve in your experiment at once to let them know about your experiment idea and what you require for each service. Then it may be easy for the DIHs to give you a response, a coordinated response, and telling you if it's well dimensioned in terms of technical support. So the second issue that is quite relevant, as I said before, in the proposal preparation is the definition of milestones for the experiment execution. And this is very important because the funding of the open call to the beneficiaries is results driven, which means that the payment on each justification period will be done according to the accomplishment of the defined milestones. So if you achieve the expected milestones, you will receive the funding. So therefore, it is important to set achievable milestones. But since it will be part on the evaluation criteria, milestones should be also ambitious for increasing your chances in the evaluation. Also, if an experiment is selected for funding before the signature of the Sugarland Agreement, the DIHs involved in the experiment may propose modifications on the expected milestones and values that are proposed by the applicants. It may happen if any DIH considers that there are other milestones that will help to better monitor the execution and the impact of the experiment. There is a specific question in the application form for defining these milestones and the expected values that will be used for monitoring the progress of the experiment, and at the end for defining if the grant is released or not. In this question, it is mandatory for applicants to propose 3 technical milestones. These are the first 3 milestones of this table. Please be aware that should be technical milestones. These ones cannot be related to things like the involvement of stakeholders in the experiment, or to achieve letter of intent, commercial agreements, and so on. The 3 first milestones should be technical. These kind of things, as I said before, the involvement of stakeholders, letters of interest, commercial agreements, and so on, can be included in milestone 5, which is the only one that is optional and could be used to define a non-technical milestone. And finally, the fourth milestone is also mandatory, but is already fixed by us. It is a milestone regarding the assistance to a new HUB4Data event. And further details of the event to be assisted will be given to the applicant in case your experiment is selected for funding. Well, once we have revised the main submission documents and relevant issues of the application, we're going to give some recommendations as good practices to try to write a winning proposal. The first recommendation is to start the preparation of the proposal early, to take the necessary time to think on a suitable experiment that fits the call condition. It is also important to think on how your experiment can be unique, innovative, and ambitious. So take your time to think on that. So you need to start early the preparation. Also, it is important to make sure you understand the open call conditions and requirements. So please read carefully the documents, mainly the guidelines for applicants, but also review the whole catalog of services to find the most appropriate for your experiment. And once you have a clear idea about your experiment, it's important to think on how to explain the context, the current scenario as the starting point, and the expected scenario once the experiment finishes. Another recommendation is to define an ambitious but achievable experiment that could be developed in 9 months, which is the duration of the experiments. And finally, the last recommendation is to think as an evaluator. It is very important that you make an effort to explain the key unique things on your proposal. The evaluators will not read any other source of information apart from your form. Also, it is important to bear in mind the evaluation criteria while filling the application form, and you can find these evaluation criteria in the guidelines for applicants. Besides, here you can find some frequent errors for each section of the application form. Regarding the frequent administrative errors, although are obvious, we would like to remind you that you will not be able to submit an application after the deadline, and that you should fill all the questions that are mandatory to be eligible and upload all required documents using the official templates. If not, this could make your proposal ineligible. Regarding the excellence section, one of the main common errors is to provide a short explanation about the concept of the experiment, the added value, or the proposed innovation. Don't assume that the evaluators know your specific context. As I said before, the form is the only source of information that the evaluators will read regarding your experiment. And also, let me repeat the importance of contacting DIHs to help you in the dimensioning of the services. But let me emphasize the importance of contacting DIHs early. We expect lots of applications during the last days of the call, so it is really important to contact DIHs with enough time to be sure that DIHs will be able to respond. Because if you contact DIHs during the last days of the call, they may not be able to respond due to the high number of contacts receiving during these days. So this comes to our first recommendation, to start the preparation of the proposal early. On the impact section, it is really important to demonstrate that your experiment is ambitious but realistic. To this end, we recommend quantify the expected performance, quantify the added value compared to competition, or quantify the expected impacts of the experiment. And you can quantify using number or even using percentages to specify an increase or reduction of an indicator compared to the state of the art. Sorry, I didn't pass the slide. So I was talking about this slide, I think. No, sorry. Okay, sorry. Regarding the implementation section, be aware that it is your opportunity to combine evaluators that you can materialize your experiments. So think on a convincing work plan that could be achieved in 9 months. Define the appropriate milestones to monitor the progress of the experiment and the deliverables that will be sent to justify the accomplishment of these milestones. And finally, try to demonstrate that you have the necessary expertise to carry out the work plan. And finally, don't see, as I said before, the ethics self-assessment as a document to complete quickly, responding all questions with a no. It may be the case that no ethical issues applies to your experiment, but if yes, it is your opportunity to collaborate with our ethics expert and benefit from their knowledge to improve your potential issues that you will find once your product or services resulting from the experiment goes to the commercialization. So try to see it as an opportunity for you. And finally, once you submit the application, this figure tries to summarize the whole process until beneficiaries receive the funds. So the first step is that we will do an initial filtering of proposals, checking that the applicants are eligible and the proposals fulfill all the submission requirements. So after this initial filtering of proposals, the external experts, and let me remark external because we are not going to evaluate it, it will be evaluated by external experts, will perform the evaluation according to the evaluation criteria that we have indicated in the guidelines for applicants. Once we receive the evaluation of the external evaluators, we will order the experiments by rank and we will propose for funding the ones with higher rank until covering the funds. So easy. So the third open call, we can grant up to 18 experiments. Therefore, the 18 with higher rank will be proposed for funding. Then some internal checks regarding the DIA support devoted to each experiment and the ethical issues will be revised for the experiments proposed for funding. And then the selected experiments will be required to sign the subgrant agreement with the coordinator of the EU Has for Data project. And after that, the experiment will start. Regarding the payments, beneficiaries will be paid only by achieving the expected results. This means that funding will depend on the accomplishment of the specific milestones rather than justifying invoices or personal dedication and so on. So as I said before at the beginning of the presentation, it is a results-driven justification. There will be two justification periods, one at month 5, which is the intermediate review, and the other at month 10, once the experiments are finished, because the experiments length 9 months. As commented before, the milestones for monitoring the success of the experiments will be proposed by applicants in the application form, but the proposal may be revised by the DIHs involved in the experiment before the subgrant signature. At each justification period, beneficiaries must send at least one deliverable justifying the accomplishment of these expected results according to the milestones defined in the subgrant agreement. And the DIHs involved in the experiment will be the ones that will review the deliverable. And a positive assessment of the DIHs is necessary to receive the grant at each stage. So you can be granted up to 1,300 euros at each stage, depending on this assessment. And finally, here is the calendar for this open call, for the third open call, which is our last open call. And the deadline is on the 9th of November. Then the communication of results is expected about January next year, in January 2023. And finally, the selected experiments will start on February 2023. And I think, yeah, that's all. So as I said before, this is our email. If you have any, this is our email. If you have any doubt related to the open call as such, and if you have any doubt related to ethics, you had the previous email. So don't hesitate to contact us if you have any question. But now is also time. I think we have also a short time to answer any question.
Thank you, Jorge. I realized that I took most of your time, so sorry for that.
Don't worry.
Anyway, I have been trying to answer in the chat. So let me go quickly through the different questions. Again, already answered in the chat. So if people did not re-ask, it means that it's more or less clear. So first, again, the recording, we are recording this webinar, but we will not publish this recording until the second webinar happens. So now you will have the slides. Okay, you can contact us, but again, the recording will be available after the second webinar. Anyway, if you have any question, you can contact us by any of the different ways. Second point, restriction on how you spend the funding. I think it was already answered by Jorge. So the funding is distributed in a flat rate basis and only subject to the accomplishment of the KPIs and the objectives. So as long as you can justify and also show us in a very tangible way that you are achieving your objectives, we will deliver the funding. Okay. So try to be, on the one hand, of course, ambitious, because otherwise, okay, you will not be selected. On the other hand, realistic, okay, that you can achieve those KPIs during the project, but also very important, you can show us tangible evidence that we are reaching those KPIs and objectives, because basically they will be the proof for us to deliver the funding. Of course, we will consider all the information around, but at the end of the day, the decision will be made based on the KPIs. Okay. About the SMEs, okay, SME, I have redirected to the definition of the commission. Okay, it is included in the guidelines. So page 11, section 2.2.2. So you will have there what SMEs, what we mean by SME, and the definition of an SME. As long as you fall under this definition, it's fine. Regarding the geographical areas, probably I explained quite bad. I already realized of that. Okay, you don't have to have a hub in your area. Okay, you don't have to have a hub. As long as you are in the eligible country of the Commission of the European Union or an associated country, okay, you can apply and you can select any service that you want as long as they are eligible. So you will have the service and you will have their support from those hubs. Only in the case that you might need support from its hub on your area, you can propose an additional hub to be part of the experiment. Again, this hub will not receive funding, but okay, you can propose them as part of the experiment. But again, it doesn't matter. As long as you are in an eligible country, you are eligible. You don't have to have a hub in your area. Okay, it will be our duty to support you on that. Okay, and also the last one, and it's nice. It's a nice question because it was already raised by other. So how do we make sure that we can use the results commercially? For instance, it's a service partner. I mean, I understand a hub develops an AI component. Well, in principle, according to the contract, the beneficiaries will be the only owner of the results of the experiment. It means that the experiment belongs to the beneficiary. Okay, so the results, belong to the beneficiary. Anyway, if a hub identifies a block, a component, a model, whatever that they want to keep, okay, we will discuss with you either in the preparation phase of the contract, either during the execution of the experiment. Okay, we don't. I mean, the hubs are there to support you on that. But of course, if they deliver, for instance, an AI model, as you mentioned here, probably they will want to keep it. Okay, we can negotiate. But in principle, according to the contract, the beneficiaries are the owner of the results of the experiment. Okay. More questions that are coming. If an SME was funded in a previous open call, what are the requirements to reapply? Maybe Jorge, you can answer that.
Sorry, which is the question? I cannot see it in the.
An SME was funded in a previous open call.
Yeah.
What are the requirements to reapply?
Yeah, the only requirement if you are funded in a previous open call is that you justified the experiment, that you don't fail to justify the milestones. Because if you are funded and you fail to justify the milestones, you cannot apply more. But if you justify the milestones, there's no problem.
Yeah, I mean, so if you are participating in another project, okay, we don't care, it's fine. As long as you don't get funding for the same activities twice, yeah. Okay, but it's fine. Yeah. If you are talking about you have for data and you were funded in a previous open call, Jorge explained it perfectly. As long as you did it well, you will be selected again. Otherwise, of course, we cannot accept it, but it's fine. So it was already explained, yeah. Okay, I don't see any other question, right? So I think more or less we are done. Okay, that's my last comment. Okay, this is just the first webinar. Okay, now you have roughly 1 month and a half to complete your application. Feel free to contact us if you have any question. Okay, the slides will be available in the webpage of the project. Okay, and you are more than welcome to attend the second webinar. But then again, in the meantime, feel free to contact any of us, but also the hubs in the that are providing the services. Be sure that you act as we have explained, okay? Also be sure that everything we are asking is for our own benefit. I mean, we have to ask all this information, but also is for your own benefit. And Jorge explained it very well. The ethics, it's also for your benefit because we are raising awareness of this aspect that probably you are not aware of all those aspects. Also the services, you can get more information from the hubs. So I think it's also for your own benefit. So feel free, again, be sure that you prepare your application properly. Feel free to contact us if you have any question. And hopefully we will see you in 1 month or so in the next webinar. Good luck with your application.
Daniel, I think there is a last question from Thanasis. If an SME was funded in a previous open call, what are the requirements to reapply?
No, Alba, thanks. Jorge already answered this question.
Okay.
So
sorry.
I think more or less we are, yeah, perfect. So we are closing now. Sorry for the delay. Sorry, Jorge, because I took more time than expected, but I think more or less we are.
Maybe me also.
Thank you, Jorge, Alba, for your support. Thank all of you for attending the webinar. And again, good luck with your work, and we will see you in the next webinar. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.